Oh.
If you want a vastly underappreciated commander, here you go. Though Storrev has been criticized for being bad with regards to picking creatures back up, combat damage and all being difficult, what you really need to do is focus on planeswalkers and what interesting things this can contribute to that kind of deck. Usually, with planeswalker decks, the goal is to make them as big in terms of loyalty as possible so they can pull their ultimate, which usually wins the game. And typically it's about protecting your planeswalkers. With this deck, we're doing the opposite. We want them to die, and we want to spam their minus abilities as much as possible, so we can replay them multiple times a turn from the graveyard. Good example of this is Garruk Relentless, who's basically the minus king, and even does this weird quasi-loyalty counter fight mechanic. And that allows you to sift through a lot of his forms at different times, having a lot of control, returning him back to your hand, then replaying him after you have him kill himself, after you minus, you sack, all that jazz. And it's a kind of convoluted sounding plan, but it's really quite simple. Minus until they die and bring them back. This can almost act as a chain veil, ironic using Garruk as an example, but, you know, it kind of does act like an expensive chain veil. You can replay or choose different abilities each turn, and that's kind of the appeal of this iteration of Superfriends. Given that we're replaying mid-tier planeswalkers, the mana curve is kinda screwed up, so we'll need every piece of ramp we can get. Meanwhile, we still do have ways to make our planeswalkers ultimate pretty quick, and we have ways to protect them, and we have ways to actually return them to our hand outside of Storrev. This is an example of all of those. As Celebration's a pretty, how do I say it? Busted card, yeah, it should be 7 mana. The board wipes in this deck are particularly potent as, let's face it, you don't care if your creatures get removed, and stuff like Nevin Arel's disc, I think that's the pronunciation, do correct me if I'm wrong. But, you know, once again, that doesn't hit planeswalkers, but deals with anything else we dislike. One thing I always love in a lot of these kinds of commander decks is when the theme and the synergies are not slots taking away from the removal. So you have a lot of planeswalkers that can also double as removal, and you're minusing them for the removal typically, and that's what you want to do in this deck. So, you got planeswalkers, you got ways to kill them, they come back, do their ability twice a turn, outvalue opponents, kill the board, leave your stuff unavailable, ramp. It's a pretty solid deck. So honestly, I think given the uniqueness of the design and the relatively simple efficiency, I feel like Storrev was sorely overshadowed by New Niv Mizzet and Feather. This is a much more unique playstyle because usually you just want to ult and win with planeswalkers. Here, you kind of just want to kill them while killing opponents. If only the new Chandra was available here. This is honestly the kind of deck I want to deal with more than, you know, the Edrics and the Feathers, which kind of make themselves. This one you had to be a bit more creative in order to make, and I do regret making the Feather video, not a Blink one, because that's a lot more interesting than Heroic. So, hope you all had a good day. This seems a bit quicker than the others. It's literally half the length of the others, but quantity isn't the same as quality. I hope this one's better. I figured out an audio issue and how to fix it. The answer is the letter P. Goodbye.